At 6:30 a.m. local time on the 31st of December, 2023, two MH-60 Romeo Seahawk helicopters from the USS Eisenhower and USS Gravely were conducting air support for a Navy Special Operations patrol in the volatile waters of the southern Red Sea. The patrol was routine until the situation shifted in an instant. Unbeknownst to the pilots, a group of Houthi fast attack boats operating near Yemen's Al Hodeida port had targeted a commercial convoy and high-value assets. The Houthis opened fire, launching a barrage of guided missiles and machine gun rounds at the Singapore-flagged Maersk Hangzhou container ship as it transited the southern Red Sea, approximately 63 miles southwest of Al Hodeida. The Houthis' plan was straightforward: overwhelm the merchant ship with a swarm of fast attack boats, board it, and seize control before the crew could send a distress call. But they hit a major snag. The two MH-60 Romeo Seahawks, call signs Lancer 71 and Lancer 72, launched from the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower and USS Gravely, were already airborne, tasked with maritime security and investigating suspicious surface targets. What seemed like a routine mission quickly escalated into a coordinated assault on a U.S.-escorted commercial vessel. The Maersk Hangzhou broadcast a distress signal as soon as the Houthi boats came into view. Aboard the ship, a security team from Trident Group sprang into action, forming a defensive perimeter when the boats closed to within 6.8 miles. Armed only with M4 rifles and M240 machine guns, their firepower was no match for the Houthis' arsenal. The Houthi boats carried rockets, RPG launchers with thermobaric warheads, and PKM machine guns, all outclassing the merchant ship's defenses in range and lethality. Within minutes, the boats would be close enough to board. The two Seahawks immediately responded to the distress call. Upon receiving orders, both helicopters accelerated to 184 miles per hour to close the 30-mile gap to the ship, but time was against them. At that speed, it would take 9 minutes to arrive 5 minutes too late to stop the Houthis from boarding. The pilots devised an aggressive plan to halt the attackers before they could climb aboard. At 6:31 a.m., the helicopter's radars detected 4 Iran-supplied Bog Hammer-style fast attack boats, each 23 to 33 feet long, speeding toward the Maersk Hangzhou at 58 miles per hour in a tight formation. Each boat carried 3 to 4 Houthi fighters armed with PKM machine guns, RPG launchers, Alaska 47 rifles, and Taba 14 thermobaric RPGs. These weapons could penetrate up to 11.8 inches of solid steel, while the Maersk Hangzhou's hull was only about 1 inch thick, making it highly vulnerable. The situation grew dire as each boat was equipped with Starlink terminals, relaying real-time data to a Houthi command center in Hodeida. The use of Starlink was no accident. It enabled precise swarm tactics, with real-time imagery from drones, coastal reconnaissance, and command nodes. This wasn't a simple raid, it was an organized strike rooted in Iran's asymmetric naval doctrine. Despite lacking heavy weapons, the Maersk Hangzhou wasn't defenseless. At 1.1 miles, the ship's security team opened fire with M240 Bravo machine guns positioned at fortified posts on the stern and port side, damaging 1 boat, but they couldn't stop all 4. In just 47 seconds, the boats closed to 1,970 feet, nearing RPG range. The attack unfolded rapidly. Though the security team's suppressive fire disabled 1 boat's rudder, a Houthi RPG from the second boat landed just 10 feet from the ship's superstructure, the elevated area housing the crew's control center. If the superstructure was destroyed, the ship would lose navigation and defensive coordination. The security team was minutes from disaster. At that critical moment, the 2 Seahawks arrived. The security team's stubborn defense had forced the Houthi boats to pause at 1,970 feet to fire RPGs, buying precious time. By 6:39 a.m., Lancer 71 and Lancer 72 were just 1 mile from the target. With authorization to engage, the pilots needed only to prioritize their targets. The helicopter's AN/APS 153V radar had detected all 4 boats from 26 miles out, but heavy sea clutter required refined data to pinpoint their speed, direction, and characteristics. The radar was tracking 32 separate targets in the area, so the pilots switched to narrow pulse mode, emitting energy bursts of 0.5 to 1 microsecond to gather detailed data. This allowed the helicopters to zero in on the Houthi boats with precision, positioning them directly overhead. The APS 153 radar used moving target indication (MTI) to track the boats, leveraging the Doppler effect from their relative motion. Much like a motorcycle's pitch changes as it passes, Montana I analyzed frequency shifts to confirm targets. Pilots then employed inverse synthetic aperture radar (ISAR) to generate high-resolution images using the same Doppler effect. With confirmed targets and real-time imagery, the pilots locked onto the Houthi boats. Each helicopter was armed with two 12.7mm GAU-21 machine guns. These guns fired up to 1,100 rounds per minute with an effective range of 6,070 feet, using armor-piercing incendiary and tracer rounds designed to shred small boats. But the Houthis fired first. At 6:40 a.m., their PKM machine guns sent tracer rounds flashing past the helicopters, some missing by just 49 feet. The Seahawks dropped to 150 feet for engagement, deploying countermeasures, 12 MJU-68B heat flares and 24 RR-180 chaff bundles per helicopter, creating a cloud of infrared and radar decoys to counter potential infrared-guided missiles. The flares burned at 2,192 degrees Fahrenheit for nearly 2.5 seconds, enough to fool manpads or shoulder-fired missiles. No missile launches were detected, but the pilots took no chances. Then, the real fight erupted. At 6:41 a.m., Lancer 71 locked onto Boat 1. The door gunner unleashed 3 bursts of 12.7mm rounds, piercing the engine block and igniting the fuel tank. A fireball erupted, and debris scattered as the boat sank in 45 seconds. Before the first boat went under, Lancer 71 pivoted left, targeting Boat 2. A short burst crippled its rudder, followed by a 3-second barrage that left the boat uncontrollable, listing heavily, flooding, and capsizing by 6:42. Both helicopters then focused on Boat 3, taking fire from both sides. Within seconds, dozens of armor-piercing rounds tore through its hull. The crew attempted to abandon ship, but it sank by 6:44. After sinking the third boat, the helicopters alternated fire on Boat 4. Having witnessed the destruction, the fourth boat fled northwest, trailing smoke as rounds struck its hull. The helicopters didn't pursue, staying to protect the merchant ship. In under 7 minutes, they had sunk 3 Houthi boats, expending roughly 1,800 rounds. But the Houthis' ordeal wasn't over. U.S. Central Command deemed the destruction of a few boats insufficient and called for stronger measures to deter further aggression. Within 8 hours of the attack, the USS Gravely targeted Houthi coastal radar stations that had fed data to the attack boats using its 5-inch Mk-45 Mod 4 gun. The ship fired 92 high-explosive and airburst rounds, each weighing 70 pounds, with a range of 9 miles and a velocity of 2,598 feet per s. Moving along Yemen's coast, the Gravely pounded radar facilities, destroying 3 stations at Jabal al-Tar, Al-Kahum, and Ras Isa before sunset. These stations had tracked Red Sea shipping for 2 weeks. The strikes reduced Houthi maritime surveillance by at least 60% per drone-based damage assessments, but the response continued. On the 1st of January, 4F A-18E Super Hornets from VFA 131, based on the USS Eisenhower, launched with AGM-154C JSO ground attack weapons targeting a missile depot in Al-Durahimi. Each JSO-WC carried a 500-pound warhead capable of penetrating 12 feet of reinforced concrete with a molten metal jet moving at 46 feet per s. At 6:43 p.m. local time, 4 missiles struck, triggering secondary explosions. Intercepted Houthi communications confirmed the destruction of 18 Qasef Drive 1s, 4 Noor anti-ship missiles, multiple missile guidance kits, 2 Iranian advisors, and 12 Houthi fighters. The strikes signaled a shift in U.S. strategy, not just defending assets in the moment, but launching retaliatory strikes to prevent further Houthi aggression. That's all for today. We hope this episode brought you valuable insights. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow at the same time.